Good to see you today. We have a wonderful day here. It's still winter, of course, 42 degrees outside though, and sunshine. And finally turning that snow into mud. So mud season is here. That's not one of the tourist seasons here when there's mud all about. People wait until it dries up a little bit and warms up a little bit. The grass is starting to turn a little bit green, but the trees won't turn green until mid-May. Well, good afternoon, everybody. I have a very exciting announcement, and that is that I'm just about to put up the necessary buttons and everything for anybody who would like to purchase the technician videos on a thumb drive. Just like the extra. I've had the extra out for quite a while now, and the technician will be less expensive because I only need a 16 gigabyte thumb drive instead of a 64 gigabyte thumb drive. So they'll be the same deal. They'll be postage paid anywhere in the United States, and I should very soon have a price for that. Really looking forward to that. We've got a lot of hellos here. Bahrain. Poor Don DeGidio spent the week in the hospital. Hope you get well soon, Don. Bellevue on the east side of Lake Washington, Asheville, North Carolina. Greeley, Clarksville, Tennessee, Germany, Connecticut, and Wisconsin. I know some of you guys are really suffering from the snowpack there. The East Coast and especially New England have been just absolutely slammed here in the United States with snow way beyond ordinary. Here in Colorado, we have been having avalanches that get on the evening news. Of course, nowadays, absolutely everything is captured on video. And so there are videos of people driving along I-70 in the avalanche coming down and catching them. It's a pretty wild sight. We haven't had an avalanche season like this that I can ever remember. It's been quite something. Let's see. Hello from Israel. Richard Hartman says, using a dipole about 12 feet, can I run ground from the shield side direct to the ground below instead of the ground in my shack? You can ground the shield side at your ground rod, bring it into the shack. Though also, if you use a lightning arrestor with that, you will be in effect grounding at your ground rod. Okay, Hollywood, Florida, North New Jersey. Poor guy who's gotten quite a mess there. Why would Google grab that one? Grand Rapids, Michigan. Yeah, the rain really kind of makes the snow go away. I'll be quite happy for that. I have a MFJ cobweb antenna that some of the higher bands, I didn't screw them, I just wrapped them around the insulators and they've come loose. And on my MFJ hex beam, one of the stays to one of the arms coming up has come loose. And so that arm is gradually straightening itself, and while it's doing, it's pulling the rest of the antenna in. I just need about 2 or 3 people with good strong backs so I can tilt the thing over, make the change, put it back up. It'll be a 10-minute fix for that. I mentioned last time that I was going to be testing an analyzer from Germany, this little thing right here, which is really quite a interesting little device. I ran into some fun with it during testing and cast some doubt in my mind as far as accuracy. I'll be very interested to see if I get any response from the people who make it. I should probably just send them an email. Let's see. got his license back after 15 years out? Are you going to put up the OG polo shirts for sale? One of the problem with those that I found was I got them from a company my niece works at, where they do logo type things like that, and they turned out to be very expensive. I had to pay the postage for the shirts from the factory to the people who make the logo, and then I had to pay postage again. And I mean, these shirts are costing me $30 or $40. If you really, really badly want one, I've got a few in double extra large, and I've got two in medium. One of those was for Trevor, and the other one is for Julian. So I don't know. I'll have to think about it. There's got to be a cheaper way to get that. Maybe I can go on Teespring. They've got that on. It's a YouTube merchandise site, and see if I can't get some less expensive versions of the OG logo T-shirt on. Okay, howdy from Toledo. What would happen if you put two crystals in parallel? They'll fight each other. You wouldn't normally do that. They're put in series to get the additional effect, and usually there's some resistors and capacitors between them. It's called a crystal ladder when they're put together that way. The coffee cups are nice. Good. Yes, there's been a small number of sales of the coffee cups. Please go ahead and pick one up. They're at the underneath every video. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Let's see, if you make the logo available in PNG format, I could look up less expensive options for the shirts. Okay, I'll see if I can do that. It's just, I made the logo with Open Office, and those are open fonts that are there, so that gray in the background isn't really gray, it's actually slightly blue. Okay, let's go to some questions here, see how we're doing. Let's see, this from Justin Smith, W2ANN. I thought about building a go kit that I could take in my trips into the Pacific Northwest wilderness that would allow me to assist first responders in case of a civil disaster. Soon realized that building a kit was more complicated than I thought. Yeah. I've decided to buy an assembled go kit or go pack. Do you have any experience that you could share about companies that sell these kits? No, I really don't. Would like a kit that can cover 2 and 6 meters through 80 meters. Would contain a pan adapter. Now that's going to be an issue unless it comes right with the rig. You can get the KX3, which is an L-craft radio with a pan adapter. It's a little pan adapter about yay big. They're quite expensive, but if money is not an object, you could probably put something together like this for about $2,000. You might look at the MFJ NFED 80 meter wire. It's designed for portable operation where the radio is within a few feet of the tuner for the device, and the tuner is pretty close to the ground. With a short counterpoise, you can put the wire up over the trees, and that could work pretty well. Batteries, of course, going to be an issue. Bioenno sells batteries. Where's my Bioenno battery? Here. I want you to notice that I'm picking this up with 2 fingers. It's much, 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 much lighter than a lead acid gel cell. This is a lithium iron phosphate battery, and it's a 12 amp hour battery. I paid $100 for this at Dayton. Got it with the charger. They actually sell for a little bit more on that on the Bioenno Power website. Note the way it's spelled there, Bioenno Power. These are very lightweight batteries. They also maintain a slightly higher voltage than the lead acid, which is good for power out. You're probably looking at, the KX3 with a pan adapter, which will do 10 watts, I think, on CW and single sideband. The QSX radio is coming out soon. Been coming out soon since November of 2017. It's suffering badly from the second system effect. If you want to know what the second system effect is, go look that up on Wikipedia. It's an effect in engineering where when you keep putting too many features into the second of a version, it's a very common pitfall. You end up never producing it because it just gets so feature rich it sinks of its own weight. Well, that's kind of what I would look at on that Go kit for you there. That would be fun. Let's see. This is from Robert Jaffrey, KN4QIC. What are D-Star and DMR and how can we use them? D-Star is the VHF, well, not necessarily have to be VHF, but it is used in VHF for Kenwood and ICOM radios. And DMR is Alinco and a bunch of the Chinese radios. This is an example. This is Radioddity GD77, is a DMR radio. D-Star and DMR are popular because the repeaters are connected to the internet. And there's a concept that in DMR is called a talk group. I think in D-Star it's a room, where you have all these repeaters connected together, and if you pick a particular talk group, for example, TAC310 is a talk group, any repeater that happens to have TAC310 suddenly becomes part of this great big party line. Everybody in the nation is working on this party line, so you can actually get quite a few people going on it. It's worth taking the time to investigate. D-Star, now Yaesu has their version of things, and there's been no standardization. ICOM and Kenwood finally got together on D-Star. The thing about DMR is the Chinese radios are not doing D-Star or Yaesu system, and so they're doing DMR, which is actually popularized with Motorola handhelds. The Motorola handhelds, however, are extremely expensive. Hundreds and hundreds of dollars, whereas this Radioddity was less than $100, the GD77, and it works very well. The Chinese manufacturers had some teething problems with DMR, and Radioddity was part of that. Like the GD55 wasn't made right. It's one of those problems where if you make something according to spec, what people don't understand is that specifications, no matter how good they are, can never cover absolutely everything. And so the Chinese people erroneously made these things to spec and found out that was not enough. But they're past that now. The Radioddities, the Anytones, the TYTs, and so on are really great DMR radios. DMR is becoming very, very popular as a result of all the many different models of radios that work with it. If I had to choose between D-Star and DMR, I think I would say go with DMR because that's the mode that's growing really rapidly. A lot of people use D-Star and really love it, but I'd vote for DMR. Okay, let's see how we're doing here. This is from Joseph Van Dyke, KD8AAK. I was wondering what your opinion was on the ICOM 7300. What are the pros and cons of it? I'm thinking about getting one. Do you recommend this radio? I've never used one. I've talked with ICOM about it. I've talked with people who have them. It is a revolutionary radio. It is not a superhead. It is designed entirely as a software-defined radio, and apparently brilliantly so. from what I've heard, I've never heard a person complain about a 7300. And they're trying to keep the price down on them because they'd like to get lots of people into it. Please understand you're getting into a software-defined radio, and so it'll be a little bit different from what you're used to, but they've made the operations of it just like an ordinary radio. So do I recommend the radio? Yes, I do. Take a look at that. The Yaesu at the same market level is the 991A, the FT991A, which is a traditional super het to a point, and then it is software defined also. The advantage of the 991B or A is that it covers 2 meters and 70 centimeters, all modes, including FM, whereas the 7300 does not. Now there's a companion to the 7300 that is going to come out very soon. It looks just like it, but it's for 2 meters, 70 centimeters, and 1.2 gigahertz. Okay, so that'll take you the rest of the way up. I've met the marketing manager there, Ray Novak at ICOM. That radio is selling very, very, very well. It's like I said, a revolutionary radio. I don't think you'll regret getting one. Okay, let's see what we've got up here. Yeah, okay. Well, what I have PNG formats of the logo. I'll just put one up on the website in a post. And if I don't, remind me. Thinking about getting an antenna analyzer, what models do you think I should consider? Well, again, test equipment is a very personal thing, but I will tell you that the MFJ units, the 259B is what I have, the 259C is there, but it doesn't do 70 centimeters. So the 269C does 70 centimeters. Those are basic antenna analyzers. They're reliable, they work. I have the 259B and swear by it. I've used it extensively since I bought it in 2012. In fact, I've wondered ever since I've had it how I ever lived without it. I don't know about this new one. I've got the questions that are in the video that I put out yesterday. Sorry for putting it out yesterday. The thing caught me by surprise. I actually recorded on Wednesday, but it took just forever to get all the B-roll in there. If I remember, Ham said she would lend you an ICOM 7300 to check out. That would be nice to actually see one. Here's Code Monsieur saying, I love my 7300. Very easy to use. Some features are a bit hidden. Yeah, I got that problem on the FTDX 3000. The fact that it has an internal sound card is beautifully hidden, but it is there. Understand the coax switches can be quite lossy. About less than a dB if you get a good one. I've got the Delta 4 from Alpha Delta. Very good coax switches. A little pricey. Got built-in surge protection. Let's see, Philip says, thanks for the videos. Thank you for your kind words. That being said, I'm running 2 separate antennas. Is my Kenworth, is the switch worth the loss? Yeah, the switches, there's a tiny bit of loss, about 1/10 of a dB, but in a good switch. It shouldn't be a problem. Yeah, take a look at the video that I released last night. It was a very interesting thing. Okay, this is from Charles Mitchell, KN4QEH. Says, not a question, it's a thanks. Using your YouTube videos. This morning I passed both my general and my extra class test. Also signed up as a patron. Again, thanks from Charles Mitchell. First of all, congratulations to you on your upgrade. I'm sure you will enjoy HF. And thank you very much for becoming a patron. A patron is someone who, through patreon.com, let me see if I can show this. Top screen. Okay, let's go to patreon.com/KE0OG. And this is a page here. It's a little company. You can become a patron. And in becoming a patron, you can basically any amount per month that you want. The key thing here is that it's per month. And it comes out of your credit card. And this is a way that you can support me on a $2 or $3 a month. It'll take actually any amount. It doesn't have to be one of these. And I will list you on my website. Let's see if we can go back to. Did I drop the live feed? I think I may have dropped the live feed. If I did, I'm very sorry. Hopefully it is back now. Yeah, here we go. Here are all the comments here. Okay. Go. Anyway, got a chance to see the patron part there. Let's see. Let me go back to there we go, right there. Okay, so patron is there. There's also, if you just want to throw a couple bucks in the tip jar one time, you can go to ke0og.net/tip-jar. And it's, and I should mention this. Let me use a different tab for that. Decastler /tip-jar. Been having some trouble with my website recently. Let's see if it's going to do something. So I don't know if this is going to come up or not. It does not look like it. So let's go back to just talking about the questions. The tip jar basically has, here we go. For the tip jar, see over here it says click here. It's a PayPal thing. Tips are $1 a piece, and you can order as many of them as you want. Some people do $1, some $5. 5 and 10 are the most common. See, you can, when you go to PayPal, you can put in any quantity that you want. Somebody once gave me a $200 tip. I was totally blown away, but that's not normal. More normal is like 5 or something. And I appreciate the support. I really do. I'm retired, so it helps me do things like purchase this little thing right here. I purchased this with channel funds, with people that had put money in the tip jar, advertising revenue, things like that. So I was able to purchase this and give it a very thorough, and I might add, not always pleasant review. Okay, this is from Dave Slaughter, W3DJS, who says, love your intro music, don't change a thing. This is in response to a comment that was made that I needed to drop the music. My wife hates it, I know that, but I've kind of gotten used to it. One other comment came back and said that it's part of my trademark, so that's good. It's from Bob Anderson. Would be happy to send me his 7300 to take a look at. The DXOCF Wyndham 80 or 160 by radio waves. I don't think you're going to find as much activity on 160. 80 meters, there's a lot of nets all the time. Between 80 and 40 and 20 is kind of where it's at. You are still going, okay, good. Would be happy to send you my IC 7300 if you would like. We should talk about that. What amount percent does Patreon charge me? About 5%, something like that. YouTube's actually, if you give me $1 tip on YouTube, I get 67 cents. But if you give me a $5 tip, I get like $4.50, something like that, because it's got a base part and then a sliding scale. So, let's see. Congrats, Joe. Thanks, Crusader. Really have great videos. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, well, let's keep going here. This is pretty good. From John DeLuca, November 1, Delta, Echo Lima. I just ordered a QRP Labs QCX. I have an Elcraft T1 tuner and a Palm radio paddle. Any ideas on very portable antennas for inside hotel rooms during my business travels? Well, there's always the Loop. Chameleon makes a nice one that's portable. There are other people you can see in the advertisements in QST who make portable loops that you can pack up in a little dispatch bag and take with you. Inside hotel rooms, often those things are great big metal cages. There are antennas. MFJ has one that you can stick out the window. It's actually a hamstick kind of thing with a great big counterpoise on it. That works. It's a little less portable though, because the shortest piece is about that long. So this is I still think this idea of a portable antenna for apartments and things like that is an unsolved problem. That it would be nice if somebody would come up with something that would work first time every time. This is Soylent, by the way. This is from Patrick Simmons. No call sign. Well, Dave, my name is Patrick from Alabama, and I'm about to get into ham radio, and I see on your YouTube page, I see the technician ham radio license, that there are 6 of the videos on there are private. Why? And okay. I've been kind of making the old out-of-date videos private. If you want to get a list of all the new technician videos, and they're all completed now, there's 2 ways. You can go to my channel and go into playlists, and you'll see the technician playlist. That I just revisited that playlist. All the videos are there. They're in order that they are in the book. Okay. The other way is to go to ke0og.net. That's .net/training, and that will get you into the list of the technician videos that are the current videos. The old technician videos that are private are out of date. I wish Google had a better way that I could say, you know, if the video comes up private, put something on there that says go to, that you could click on and go to the correct video. But for whatever reason, they don't. You know, you wouldn't think that's rocket science, but they don't have anything like that. But if it's marked private, it's out of date. Go to the playlist or to my website on that, and that hopefully that solves the answer. Are ham sticks a good antenna option for HF digital modes? Yes, you can do them with low power and compromise antennas. And Joe Wilson is studying for the extra. Go, Joe, do it. And let's see, Don DeGidio is using a YouTube FG01 graphing analyzer for 1 to 60. Also have the 269. I'll have to look into that UKITS thing. That'd be fun. Don't know many hotels who allow ham radio antennas out the window. No, most of them don't. In a lot of hotels, the windows won't even open. So you're stuck with a loop. You put the loop right up at the window. Don't drink the Soylent Green. Yes, actually, this is named after the Soylent that's in that book, just for kicks. They came up with that name. It's a replacement meal. I shouldn't be advertising for them, I guess, but I've somehow developed a liking for them. I'm working on building a vertical that will cover 40, 20, 18, 17, 15, 12, and 10. Look like a Christmas tree with eighth wave ground radials. You may, if you're going to tune your radials, you might want to get that vertical up in the air a few feet. From Don DeGidio, should be the digital modes don't need high power. And ham sticks are good for about 200 watts, yeah. Okay, greetings from Alaska. Installing BTEC 50x3s in the son's card. I wonder if a 3 to 4 foot Fire Stick CB antenna would have usable SWR. Probably not. No, they're designed for 11 meters, and the BTECs are 2 meter and 440. You can go to MFJ and get a very inexpensive mag-mounted antenna that works absolutely fine. Okay. This is from Mark Morgan. I'm new to amateur radio. It was on my bucket list, so I'm writing my license in March. Okay, taking the exam in March. That's this month. Hope to be in the air in April. Considering building from scratch a cobweb antenna. Ooh. I have a question about the X framework. Recommended to use fiberglass or whatever. What do you think about using aluminum tubing? No. The problem with the aluminum tubing is that it will very much affect, because it's not orthogonal to the wire. You know, on a Yagi, you've got a boom, and then the antenna elements come out perpendicularly. With the cobweb, they're at an angle, and so you're going to get an effect of those in there. You could try bamboo. You can get bamboo pretty long. Good luck, Mark, with that. And you know, I've heard the league's proposal to give technician licensees meaningful privileges on HF. And I'm all for it. And I think they should do that. I hope that happens soon. Allan L Malsbury Jr. I've heard that discone antennas are good for listening, software-defined radio, but not good for actual use with an HF, UHF, VHF rig. What are your thoughts? Actually, they're great. The normal discone that people buy is like 6 meters and up. And or you can buy them just 2 meters and up. And they work great. There's nothing wrong with them. They work great with transmitting and receiving. You can build discones for HF. If you build a 40-meter discone, first of all, it's going to be enormous. Not as big as a rhombic, but it will still be enormous. It will have the same gain as a vertical, ordinary vertical, but it will be extremely broadband from 40 meters on up. By the time you get up to 10 meters, you might be losing a little bit of gain just because the thing is so big. But the military uses these when it has to communicate on HF, because you don't have to worry about tuning them or anything like that. They're resonant, extremely broadband antennas. But for 40 meters, whew, you know, I've seen Air Force disco antennas. They must stand 40, 50 feet tall, and probably longer for 40 meters. They're big to build. Yeah, look them up. Go ahead. Give it a shot. Yeah, they do work on transmitting just fine. This is from Larry N1URE. Greetings from Massachusetts, super site. Thanks, Larry. Well, thank you, Larry, for checking in. Much appreciated. Okay, Bob, I'm going to not approve that comment because it's got your email in it. I will send you an email at that, and we'll work something out. I really appreciate your generosity in letting me borrow it for a couple weeks to do a video about it. This one is from ZS1 ARB South Africa. See, my question is, I'm about to get a Xiegu X5105, which I have made a video about, and I have one. A Chinese 5-watt QRP radio with an internal tuner. I already have a fairly well kitted out 100-watt rig I use for portable ops. For this QRP rig, I really want to go as minimal as possible, so I've been doing some reading, and one piece of advice I came across was to use a 70-foot wire as a counterpoise, which I believe it's a non-resonant length. It is. A fairly knowledgeable ham has told me that the X5105's internal tuner won't handle an antenna that long without a 9-to-1 balun. This has me puzzled. Okay, what's going on here, and I wish I had my overhead. I had the overhead camera working before we started, and then it stopped working. I wish I understood OBS. It's just frustrating. Is 70 foot a non-resonant length? Yes, it's a little bit long for 40 meters. Why mightn't a tuner not be able to handle that length? Well, first of all, if you're using it as a counterpoise, the tuner is not touching it at all. Now, if you're going to do a long wire, or even a resonant 40 meter or something like that, which would be 66 feet in length, the 9-to-1 balun goes, your coax cable goes to the balun, then the counterpoise is connected there, and then the antenna goes up from there. The counterpoise usually runs off somewhere on the ground in some sort of a quasi-straight line. And then you've got something up over the trees. That's where you want the 9-to-1 balun. Now, the tuner in the X5105 is like most built-in tuners, and it will handle only up to about a 3-to-1 SWR. I would recommend you try it. I mean, just go out in your backyard or a local park or something like that and give it a try. The Xiegu X5105 is a fairly expensive radio. It's designed to compete with the Elecraft KX3. The Xiegu is about half the price of the Elecraft. However, Elecraft has an excellent reputation for quality. The 5105 has built-in battery, built-in tuner, and so on. So really all you need with it is a key. It also comes with a microphone. And yes, I've done both with the Xiegu. I had an SSB conversation on it, I think, for the review. It's a nice little radio. It's a little heavy, but that's because it's got the battery in it. Or you can use an external battery too. He says, I realize the best answer is to put up a dipole. Yes. Or if you're out in the field, an inverted V, if you can get the center high. Trying to learn more about antennas, and this stuff has me confused. First of all, start simple. Start with something you know works. Dipole would be a great thing to do. Let's see. Oh yeah, I can hear the clock ticking. It's right up here. Any advanced insulated wire than bare copper wire? Solid better than stranded. If you're going to be running it through trees or something like that, go with the insulated. The insulated will be a slightly different length from the bare copper. Solid better than stranded. Usually stranded is a lot easier to deal with. Is that a clock ticking near the mic? Yes, there is a clock in here. An actual, real live, old-fashioned mechanical clock that's not old. Well, it's about 15 years old now, but I bought it new. For like $90 from Harbor Freight Tools, of all places. I don't know how they got a hold of that. 16 gauge is fine for that antenna. 14 gauge is more common house wire. The one thing to note about a house wire is it will stretch with time. So just be aware of that. You may need in a year to retrim it. I watched the live stream with you and the three others. What is the 32 to 1 Unknown for? You'd use it at the end of a long wire antenna, something like that. Antennas have the highest impedance at the ends, and in the middle is the lowest impedance. If you're going to end feed it, you need a real high impedance. That's why you want to go with the tuner. Paul Reber, the Virginia QSO party is happening right now in 20. That's cool. I'll have to get on. If you're a new general licensee wondering, Benjamin is suggesting used gear. I would encourage you to be absolutely sure that rig works. You don't want to buy someone else's problems. If you go talk to club members at your club and ask around a little bit, you might do it. I usually recommend new gear for the first time because you're less chance you're going to have problems. You don't need a fix-it kind of problem on top of all the fun of learning a new rig. But you can get much cheaper, that is for sure. Okay. And we've got a Randy in California. We've got 87 viewers right now. Okay, this is from Dave Slaughter, who includes some pictures. Oh, this is the one I was thinking of. This is from Dave Slaughter, W3DJS. Love your channel, spreading the word about it. Appreciate it. Randy K7AGE recently posted a video to YouTube where he was operating from the Titan Missile Museum south of Tucson. What was noteworthy about this antenna he was using in the video was a permanently installed disc cone antenna made available for public use. You hook up your feed line, and have I ever heard of anything like this? Yes, I have heard of that particular antenna before, and I don't know of any more, but it does show here the feed point, and you can see the bottom holding up the disc array. There's also a flat piece on the top. And then a note to amateur radio operators to make sure you check inside before you use the antenna, but it's there for everybody to use. And it's a leftover Air Force antenna, and you can go try it out. It works just like a vertical. It's basically a vertical. And it will not work any better than a vertical. I mean, there's no gain in it or anything. Joe, good luck with your shopping. All right, this is from Jeff Schwer, KE5NPI. Dave, I just discovered your videos and am super impressed by them. The audio and video components are very clear and the subject matter is presented logically and thoroughly. Now for my question. I never heard you mention using a bus grounding bar in a station. Do the three-prong wall plugs make bus bars obsolete? I have mentioned my grounding system in a couple of videos, one quite recent when I updated one of the tech videos. I have a short copper pipe in the back of the station, and I attach all the grounds to that, and then I attach a wire. It's a number 2 stranded wire. It could equally well be copper braid or a copper strap that goes down to the ground rod, which is just right outside the station here for my station ground. Of course, all of my equipment that has 3-wire plugs, I have not defeated any of those. Those are grounded to the house utility system. My station ground and the utility ground, which is in the other corner of the house, are bonded together by a wire, bare wire, between them. Okay, and works very well. Works very well for me. So hope that answers your question there. This is, hey, we're into March. This is from Tim K5TGS. Can a good tuner mask problems in an antenna by bringing SWR to a good level but leave the antenna with low efficiency? Oh yes, absolutely. Absolutely. You know, you could have a broken element or something like that, and the tuner, if it's a wide range tuner, might still bring it into tune. There's no substitute for periodically inspecting your antennas, making sure all the joints are tight, everything's working. You know, slightly kind of try to move the joint just a little bit, so if there's any corrosion in there, it gets taken care of. And that was from Kim K5TGS. So yeah, a wide range tuner can definitely mask the problems. Have I heard of any other public antennas? No, I haven't. That's the only one I've heard of. And yeah, Randy is the one who did that. The disc cone was large. Yes, it is. It's, I think, good for 40 meters, which means it's probably 60 feet high. I haven't looked up a disc cone antenna in a long time. You can look in the handbook, the ARRL handbook for disc cones, or in the antenna book, and it'll tell you a little bit about them. The HF ones are not popular in amateur radio because because of the sheer amount of wire in it. They're unwieldy. They're mechanically hard to construct, and so on. Okay, this is from Phil Goodman. I just purchased an Anytone D878UV and want to know what is the best way to learn about DMR, especially on how to get it set up. The setup is straightforward. You use the programming software is the best. Well, this is WA6HOO, Wahoo, WA6HOO. Otherwise, I would try YouTube, look up DMR videos. There's a lot of videos on what DMR is and how it works. There are a lot of videos that explain what's under the covers. And what's under the covers is interesting, you know, like the fact that it's a 2-channel time division multiplex and all that. But that's really irrelevant for how it operates, except to know that you have to either be in time slot 1 or time slot 2. Okay. I plan to do a video soon on DMR, just on DMR, the subject DMR, because it is getting very popular. Clay, you're welcome. I use a T440. It's a great rig. Yes, it is. And I'm also subscribed to Randy's channel. And I promote his channel. He's great. I met him finally at Quartz Fest. I'd never met him before. He's tall. He's a good head taller than I am. So I'm looking up to Randy when I see him there. Okay, this is from Rich Rayner. If you had a choice of only one antenna for an HF base station, what would it be? I'm leaning toward a hex beam from KO Technology, but wanted to hear your input. Thank you. I do not recommend a beam as first antenna because you are then having all the fun of pointing it, which you have to do with a hex beam. I would recommend a multiband vertical from 40 on up. There are a number of them out there. AV 640 is a popular one. What I really recommend for first antenna is a 40 meter dipole. Get a 40 meter dipole, put it up, get some experience with 40 meters. Usually you can cover the whole band with one dipole on 40 meters. Try and get it up as high as you can. The optimal height for it is 66 feet, but you'll never get it that high unless you have some real tall trees. If you can't do the dipole, do an inverted V. Because you can make that antenna for next to nothing, whereas the AV640 you're spending $500 or $600 that you don't really need to spend at first. Start simple, build up. I know there are lots of hams who would like to go from 0 to 60 in 0 seconds, and it's too complex to do it that way. You've got to start with something reasonably straightforward and work your way up. You can work your way up as fast as you want, but then you've always got something you know will work that you can fall back on. DMR is going the way of the hotspot. DMR and repeaters is rare. Well, I don't know about that. New DMR repeaters are going up all the time. Usually it's part of the Brandmeister network instead of the Motorola network. Yes, I did build a 40 meter dipole in one of my videos. It worked. What do you think about artificial ground? The MFJ does have one, yes. In really difficult RFI situations, you might go for something like that. Okay, this is from Jeff Cold, K7 TEB. What does it mean to tune an antenna and how is it done? There are two answers to that question. One means to actually tune an antenna. For example, a 40 meter dipole, you find at what point it's resonant and then you vary the length until you get that resonant frequency right into the ham band and the part of the band where you want to operate. Okay, that is the literal meaning of the word tune. The other meaning is using an antenna tuner in your shack. They are misnamed. The old name for them was Transmatch, because it matches your rig, which is 50 ohms output, to the combination of your feed line and your antenna, and which will present to your radio a impedance that's not 50 ohms, it's something else. It could be reactive. So the tuner, it acts like a radio frequency transformer and also phase shifter. And by tuning the three knobs, or by automatically tuning, you match it, because otherwise what happens is RF energy will go up to the antenna and not finding the correct impedance. Part of it will be radiated, but part of it is sent back to the transmitter, and that has to go somewhere. That energy has to go somewhere. It will heat the final amplifier in your transmitter and can cause damage. So most modern transceivers will reduce power if that happens. Well, that means you're reducing your power out too. What an antenna tuner does is it intercepts that return power and sends it back to the antenna, where part of it is re-radiated, some of it comes back, and so on. And you get a standing wave on the line. It's best to have a tuned antenna. I, at this point in time, do not have a tuner as part of my on-the-air station because I have my antennas tuned so that I don't need a tuner. So those are the two aspects of antenna tuning. Good question. All right, let's see. Somebody is suggesting The minimum length of a ground rod that can satisfactorily for an HF home station, 8 feet. Yeah, just do 8 feet. Let's see. For multi-band vertical, check out DX Commander. Okay, take a look. By the way, there's a ham site called eHam, E-H-A-M. I think it's .com, might be .org. But they have reviews of just about everything that's out there. These are member-submitted reviews. Hello, Dave, brand new in this one. Watched a bunch of videos on here. Keeps coming up. I got my GMRS license. I purchased a Baofeng BFF 8HP. Can I legally transmit on it? I don't know anything about GMRS. I think you need to get something that's been built for the GMRS band. So if you want to be totally legal. Yeah. Okay, and there are power limits on there too. On those Chinese radios, 2 meter and 70 centimeter are the ones that we use. That's ham. I have an old legal limit Wanzer Z-match. Was suitable between pi and T-match and bypass. Whoa, that's going back a few years. It used to be old tube rigs that the pi match output, the pi network output, was good enough for most antennas. You didn't have to worry about tuning. Because if some power came back, the tubes could handle it. Where that changed was with transistor output transceivers. It started to come in the 1980s and 90s. And they did not, those transistor circuits that they used back then did not like high SWRs. So you ended up having to put a tuner in there. One ham YouTube channel has a specific business agenda behind all his videos. Well, yeah, I recently turned down a request from a consortium of companies that have come together, ham radio companies, to advertise their wares. They wanted me to make short videos basically advertising their wares. In other words, they wanted me to trade on my good name to make advertising videos. I turned them down. I said, I don't mind being sponsored. If I'm sponsored, then I can say what I want, and then I'm sure for a fee I'll advertise for somebody, but I will not modify my reviews. And I told them specifically that if I did videos for them, I would not submit them for review. And that deal fell apart very quickly, which was fine by me because I'm not going to trade on my good name. I'm trying to give you Augies the best that I can and sign my name to it, okay? This is the best that I know. Now, do I make mistakes? Of course I make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. And if you find a mistake, point it out. I'm going to say, good catch, and we'll get it fixed. But I turned them down. I was not going to make product reviews, product introductions, trading on my good name. So, eham.net, according to Don Digidio. Thank you. His name is the commander of DX, and he wants to sell you an antenna. Oh, okay. Yeah, I've been doing an awful lot of reviews. I know with the Chinese companies, I've been accused of being part of the problem with them, especially with Radioddity. But the Radioddity, this GD77, is a nice radio. And it's less than $100. It's a nice radio. A perfectly good FM radio, too. 2-band. Okay. This is from Franz, who's got 2 call signs. DL8 MDC, that's German. KX4ES, American. What is your opinion of a 43-foot GP antenna, general purpose antenna, worth trying or not? The 43-foot vertical enjoyed a vogue about 15 years ago. People were buying 43-foot long verticals, no traps or anything, and running them against, and this was the critical part, incredibly dense ground radio feeds. Very dense. 50, 60 radio, something like that. Now the problem is you have to put a tuner at the base. The SWR of that thing is so bad that if you used any length of cable, you end up dissipating your power in the cable as the energy goes back and forth. So you had to put the tuner right at the base of the antenna. It works. It does work. You can buy the 43-foot vertical from MFJ. You can buy the tuner that goes at the foot of it from MFJ. And then you go to Home Depot and buy out their wire stock so that you can put all the radials out that you need to put. DX Engineering has a little radial plate with lots of little nuts that you can attach those radials to. They work, but they work best on the lower bands. So you can tune them from 160 to 6. They're going to work best on like 160 through 20 or so. They do work. They do work. But by the time you've added up the expense of that, the tubing and even the antenna tuner are going to be less expensive than all those radials. And you've got a bunch of radials to deal with. So anyway, what's my opinion of them? They did enjoy a vogue about 10 or 15 years ago. They do work. It's one way to get on 160. Question about D-Star registration. I filed a week ago and have not heard. Give them a little bit of time. Usually they come back within a day or so. DMR, I know if you do it through Brandmeister, it comes back in a couple of days. I got mine, I think, the same day. How would cost for thumb drive the up-to-date extra class videos? This is from Nigel Lawrence in the UK. What it costs the current extra class video and a thumb drive to my UK address. Live in the UK. Nigel, I'll have to look that up. I know I sent one to Switzerland. It was actually pretty cheap. The least expensive rate is to send it a first class parcel. I'll set this aside. Gosh, yeah, Saturday, March 2nd. And that's a business kind of thing. We'll see if we can't get that information and get that answer to you. Okay, this is, oh my goodness, we are overtime. Well, we're up to Saturday, March 2nd, so we're in March. That's good. Thank you all for watching. Let me just put in a plug to go to dcasler.com, dcasler.com/support. And on that page are the different ways that you can support the channel. There's also some Amazon stuff up there that I've done videos about, that if you buy them from Amazon, you pay the normal price, and your normal Prime things happen, but I get a little bit of a finder's fee for that. So that's another way to support the channel. I hope to have up in the next couple days the costs and an actual button where you can purchase the technician videos. You can use these, or for example, you can give them to a new ham, buy one for a new ham, show them at a class or whatever you may want to do. My philosophy on those videos is I'm not teaching the test, I'm teaching ham radio. And then when you read the study material, hopefully it'll make a little bit more sense, because you've seen some examples of it and things like that. The technician videos are pretty straightforward. Most of them are only 5 to 7 or 8 minutes long. Some a little longer, but not much. It does have, for RF safety, I went ahead and put in a lot more information about that one. Okay, so thank you all for being here. So again, hello, Augies Worldwide. Thank you so much for joining this live stream. And we will see you in another week at 1900 hours UTC, okay, which is on Mountain Daylight Time is 1 o'clock p.m. And to all the people around the world, it'll stay at the same time UTC. So 73 to everybody. Thank you. Have a great weekend and enjoy that CUSO party that's going on right now.